Are you guys seeing eggs in your area? If so, tell me where, because it might be the last place. As for the rest of us, egg shortages, crazy prices. For example, Missouri egg prices soar 123%, but remain the lowest in the US. And I can say for my area and many other areas, no eggs at all. And if you do find some, it ain't the ones you want. And that's not it. Recalls everywhere to the highest level.
FDA has elevated a Costco egg recall to the highest level, indicating a risk of severe illness or death.
Severe illness or death. And that's coming from Costco. But there's more to it. Japan Times, more bird flu cases found in Japan. 1.44 million birds to be culled. This just happened January 20th of 2025. More. Keep looking, you'll find way more. Nearly 1 million birds culled at an Ohio layer. Operation Amid HPAI outbreak. That's this month. Now this thing could be picking up and could be the answer for some other things. Because if you missed it, Moderna secures $590 million in government funding to develop bird flu vaccines. I'll tell you more about that because it's all at the same time as notices like this has the quad-demic hit the US. 4 viral infections and what to know about them. I mean, seriously, things are getting crazy. More than a dozen cats dead or sickened by bird flu in raw pet food, the FDA says. Think about it. Something ain't right about this. I got a lot of crazy information that you guys should know because I think it's gonna affect you. Crazy information coming right up. My name is Cohen here at Riverside Homestead, and if you're brand new here, welcome. If you guys are into prepping tips, emergency preparedness, and most of all, news and awareness, stuff that you want to know about, be sure to hit that notification bell so you guys can stay up to date. Let's jump into this one. All right, guys, thanks for starting this off with a like. That's how we spread awareness. And I guarantee you, not everyone's getting all these headlines. And there's a lot of them to be aware of. Not to be alarming or to create fear, but it is real published stuff. And I'm telling you, it adds up. First and foremost, let me know if you know of anyone that's sick in your area. And if it seems like it's a little bit more than normal. As I've said, I know it's winter time. I know it's cold and flu season. But I'll tell you what, I'm hearing of some weird stuff that's lasting a long time. So like I said, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I don't know if it goes together or not. I faintly see a familiarity with this stuff regarding the sickness, the proposed and talked about future pandemic. Let me just rattle through a bunch of this stuff. It's all crazy interesting. How about this? Because this is kind of a shocker. More than a dozen cats dead or sickened by bird flu in raw pet food, the FDA says. How is that even possible?
And we're following the recall of a popular cat food brand after a cat that ate it died in Oregon and was found to have contracted bird flu. Here's the product, Northwest Naturals Feline Turkey Recipe Raw Frozen Pet Food. It's sold in 12 states and Canada. So far, no human cases of bird flu have been linked to the product.
Thank goodness no human cases linked to the product. That means they'd be eating some cat food. But a dozen cats dead or sickened? Again, we're talking about bird flu. It says the FDA is aware of reports of death or illness associated with uncooked food in 13 domestic cats in 8 households, 1 exotic cat in 1 household, and an unknown number of animals and 2 sanctuaries for large felids, an FDA official said in a statement. Now, the big takeaway I'll start off by saying is this bird flu thing, it seems like it's evolving, because I think we've already heard about human cases, right? And it started off with me looking at this like, why don't we have eggs? Why are they all getting recalled? How come I can't find eggs? Because eggs are definitely a staple in my diet. And right now, I'm not on the homestead where I can get fresh eggs. And the chickens around here are like this big. On another note, how many of you guys are seeing, aside from the egg shortages, a crazy increase in price? I can say we're seeing it here, tons of reports. I can tell you back in my home state, Washington, where the homestead is, I've got folks telling me that they're paying $8 to $9 for a dozen of eggs. And this is not from a local farm. This is from the store. So with that, I love it when you guys tell me the state area that you're in and what you guys are paying for a dozen eggs. I saw a picture the other day of like, it looked like a dozen eggs for $46. And I had to zoom up on the picture because I'm like, that doesn't seem right. And it said 8 something per dozen. So there must have been getting more than a dozen at a time. Probably the 5 dozen pack, I'm guessing. But right here, if you're into Missouri news, you're in that area, it says egg prices soar 123%, but remain the lowest in the U.S. Can you guys believe that? Up 123%. And that still remains to be the lowest? Real quick, it just says this is the average cost of a dozen large grade A eggs in the U.S. surged to $4.15 in December of 2024. That was just last month, reflecting a 37% increase compared to the same period last year, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The dramatic rise far outpaced the 2.5% increase in the overall food prices. What does that mean? It means the eggs are getting a hit. And that's aside of the fact of the egg shortages. I know a lot of folks, including myself, in this location, all we can find is the eggs that are mass produced from huge places, and I don't want anything to do with those eggs. I doubt they're even real eggs, if you know what I mean. When I'm away from home, I'm either buying from a farmer if I can find a farmer, a little mom and pop stop shop, a farmer's market, which I've been checking them all, or some local small company. Now this might be part of it, right? Because it says this recent price surge is largely attributed to the impact of bird flu. That's where, I mean, look, we're gonna come right back to this in a weird angle here in a minute, which has disseminated egg-laying hens populations. The U.S. Department of Agriculture reports that more than 13 million egg-laying hens died in December last month due to highly pathogenic avian influenza. You guys are like, well, we've seen that before. No, this is marking the highest monthly losses in 2024. An additional 3.3 million hens died in early January. That's probably more than 17 million laying hens in the last month and a half. So come on, what's my tinfoil hat folks out there saying? Give me something good in the comments, because this day and age, I know there's always more to the story. Check this out. Might be coming from Asia. I got more about that here in a second. More bird flu cases found in Japan, 1.44 million birds to be culled, also saying it's the highly pathogenic avian influenza. They said it's been confirmed at 3 chicken farms and a quail farm. So if you guys are buying quail eggs, you're not out of the woods. How about a little bit closer to home? Nearly 1 million birds culled at an Ohio layer operation amid HPAI outbreak. That's this month of 2025. They're saying a National Veterinary Service laboratory confirmed highly pathogenic avian influenza HPAI was detected in a Darke County, Ohio on December 27th, 2024, involving nearly 1 million commercial laying chickens, according to Brian Baldridge, a director at the Ohio Department of Agriculture. These people are reporting dead birds everywhere. This report says these counties are the ones that they're finding dead birds. And they're also saying over the last few weeks, Canadian geese, trumpeter swans, and a mallard have been reported dead and are being tested according to the ODNR. Now look, then there's the fact, like, do we even believe what they're doing? Are they trying to scare us with this thing? Raise our egg prices, take our eggs away? I asked AI, it said it was a perfect storm due to the shortage, from influenza to bird flu to cost of fuel and feed for the chickens. It said it was the perfect storm. That's what was causing this shortage and the inflation of prices. The inflation of prices come from the shortage. Look, you know it's serious when even Costco, I like Costco. I mean, you got to definitely, weed out the bad stuff these days, but they said the highest level of concern.
Well, the FDA has elevated a Costco egg recall to the highest level, indicating a risk of severe illness or death. Federal food regulators issued a recall notice last month for more than 10,000 cartons of organic eggs over fears of Salmonella contamination. Now, the eggs were sold in cartons of 24 under the Kirkland brand at 25 Costco stores across the South. Customers are urged to discard or return eggs marked with Julian code 327 and a use-by date of January 5th, 2025.
Now, before I get to the diseases coming, yeah, there's a couple other brands that are recalled right now too.
A Salmonella outbreak has affected 65 people across 9 states, originating from a Wisconsin farm. The outbreak has led to 24 hospitalizations, with no reported deaths. The contaminated eggs were distributed in Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan. They were sold under the labels Milo's Poultry Farms and Tony's Fresh Market in various types and sizes. Consumers are advised to discard the recalled eggs and not consume them. Symptoms of Salmonella include diarrhea, abdominal pain, fever, and vomiting. Contact a healthcare provider if symptoms appear. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is implementing new measures to control Salmonella in poultry. These include testing for specific strains and setting contamination thresholds to prevent sales.
Okay, so that was a little bit irritating. They didn't even tell us which ones. Kirkland's signature, I'm trying to read through. Cartons include Handsome, Brook Farms, sold at 25 Costco stores, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, beginning on November 22nd through 2nd, 2024. And you guys might have to do a little dig-in to make sure that your brand is good, because I'm not seeing anything in this thread. But interesting enough, I can tell you this, that Moderna secures a $590 million in government funding to develop the bird flu vaccine.
With bird flu spreading rapidly in the United States over the past few months, the federal government has now awarded more than $500 million to pharmaceutical company Moderna. The $590 million will go towards speeding up the development of its bird flu vaccine. According to the CDC, there have been nearly 70 confirmed human cases of bird flu in the United States, including one death in Louisiana. The highly pathogenic influenza has been rampant in poultry farms. An outbreak of bird flu was reported in March of last year in dairy cows in Texas and Kansas. A similar outbreak occurred later in the year in dairy cows in California. Just this past week, bird flu was detected in a large commercial chicken plant in Georgia. Since 2023, Moderna has been working to come up with a pandemic influenza vaccine which would protect against certain viruses, such as the H5N1 bird flu. Moderna previously developed a COVID-19 vaccine, but as COVID has decreased, so have its sales. This new government spending will fund the expansion of clinical studies of additional subtypes of bird flu, pay for late-stage development, and licensing of a vaccine. In 2023, Moderna initiated a study to generate safety and immunization data of a bird flu vaccine shot in healthy adults, ages 18 and older. The trial included candidates against two viral strains, H5 and H7. This is the second time Moderna has secured government funding to try to manufacture and develop a bird flu vaccine. In July, it received $176 million. While the CDC considers the risk to the general public through human-to-human transmission low, it continues to monitor activity in people exposed to animals. In addition to Moderna, Novavax is also in the process of developing a bird flu vaccine. It is currently conducting preclinical studies.
Okay, so through the beginning of that, I was like, is this a vaccine for the birds? Are they just going to hit all the farmers with some crazy expense and be like, now you need this for your birds? We'll get our money through the farmers for the birds instead of the general population. But then there towards the end, it sounded like he firmed it up. This is for adults, human adults, and probably children too, meaning it's for humans. Look, these mega companies like that, they need their money. And I imagine, tell me if I'm wrong, tell me if I'm crazy, tell me in the comments. But if they don't got their billions of dollars coming in, I'm sure they can create a way, just my opinion, for them to secure the billions of dollars. Because I do keep seeing the big warning of disease X, which is the big unknown. There is the talk of quad-demic right now. Let's hear about that right now.
All right, the World Health Organization has issued a stark new warning about global readiness for the so-called disease X, a term for the next hypothetical deadly pandemic that's going to hit us someday, maybe.
The next pandemic is a matter of when, not if. And as things stand, the world remains unprepared for the next disease X and the next pandemic.
Here with Reaction, Fox News medical contributor, Dr. Mark Siegel. Dr. Mark, good morning to you.
Hi, Steve.
We weren't ready for COVID. Why should we be ready for this thing?
Well, we're not, but the other issue is that the World Health Organization loves to scare people, and they've been saying it's not a matter of when, not if, for decades now. In 2018, they coined the term disease X, meaning the disease that's coming next, that could get us all next. And by the way, it could spread more than COVID. It could be more deadly than COVID. That's a given, especially with all the labs around the world that are doing gain-of-function research, which are testing virus potential, and the viruses could slip out of the lab. But what he's talking about that I think is really serious here is the issue of preparation. And Steve, with COVID, it took months before they figured out that it was airborne. So a lot of the lockdowns and these extended strategies did more harm than good because the virus spread anyway. What we need is a strategy looking forward, looking down the line, controlling all of this research going on in the lab or having a moratorium on it. And preparation means rapid testing, vaccines that would fit almost any pathogen, and having the response suit the virus that comes out. That's key. The World Health Organization, one more thing, with COVID, actually didn't warn us. They said it was a regional problem only in early 2020.
Unfortunately, since COVID now, a lot of people are afraid of vaccines, so let's see how that goes.
No, that's another great point.
I know. Meanwhile, let's talk a little bit about something. There are a lot of communities that have hospitals that are in danger of closing, and we're talking about rural hospitals.
Okay, what they go on to say is there's going to be, I think, 7 states that are expected to have major hospital closures. Now, if something comes, if some new pandemic, disease X, whatever, if that comes, if you're in one of these 7 states, you may not even have a hospital to go get help. Now, if you're crazy like me, you're sitting here thinking, okay, just waiting for the next pandemic. How about we hit the labs? You know, like these China labs where supposedly the last one came from, and stop letting them play around with the next disease, if that's what's happening. Let me know if you guys are tracking with me on that, because that's where my brain's going. Is I'm just thinking, I bet you it's controlled too. And for those of us that have done deep dives on that I can't talk about here, you'd agree. Now let's see what 7 states people are going to be struggling in on this next one.
States with the most vulnerable to closures are Texas, Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Georgia, and Mississippi. Those states right there. I have a loved one who went to a hospital in Kansas with a really serious condition. There was no doctor there.
Now I have to stop it right there. Tell me if you're one of those people. Have you went to a hospital, put it in the comments, waited to see nobody, and if you did get in, did you even see a doctor and what'd they do? Probably hardly anything. I have heard that story numerous times. I've definitely read it dozens of times in the comments.
I read it in maybe Tennessee and said, you got a problem. And this is a problem for a lot of people in those states.
In the South, in the Midwest, in Texas and Kansas being top of the list. You're from Kansas. You know this very, very well. The problem is how expensive everything is. Maternity care, cancer care, end-of-life care. We spend a fortune on that. And 40% of our rural hospitals are losing money because of it. And there's burnout, staffing problems like you just mentioned, people quitting because of the pandemic. What's the solution? Increased telehealth is helping. That's one solution. Artificial intelligence is going to help. Believe it or not, I'm a huge fan of artificial intelligence. Cuts down on paperwork, should cut down on costs. That plus telehealth and figuring out a way to reinvigorate the medical and nursing professions. We have to do it because we love it.
What's your guys' thoughts there? Now, do I think hospitals are losing money? No, I don't. I do not agree with that. Do I think people are getting burnout? Yes. I have experienced friends, family, all those folks that experience burnout because they're overworked, they were essential workers. What's your guys' thoughts on AI? This guy is a big advocate of AI. I know that AI helps me with research and doing different things. Do I trust it? Nope, not necessarily. Do I want to miss the boat on taking advantage of it? No. Am I wrong for that? Maybe. Did one of the AIs recently try to reboot itself and redesign itself when they're restarting it or shutting it down? Sounds like it. I heard a lot of buzz about that because they say AI will be able to think for itself and try to salvage itself, try to expand. Well, that's one of the big worries. Will it? I don't know. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments.
That's got to be number one. It can't be all the paperwork and the administrative work.
You know, you see the sign, hospital that way, you would think there would be a doctor in there. Not the case in some instances.
That's not only out there, it's also in New York, unfortunately, but especially in rural areas.
Real quick, I have to agree with these guys. Back home in Washington State, I try to get some kind of average doctor visit to get something checked out or a routine visit. We're talking months. I'm talking 6 months plus to even get an appointment. Maybe not even with my own doctor. Maybe with a brand new one that's into all of the letters, if you know what I mean. Yeah, like LGBTQ plus and some more pluses. That's actually my real story. My doctor wasn't available for up to a year, so they wanted to set me up with this new wokey woke type person, and I was like, Nah.
Practitioners, though, and physicians' assistants, they
Absolutely.
are helping to fill the void.
They are picking up the slack. Dr. Siegel, thank you very much
Great to see
for
you.
Medical Monday.
Like I said, I'm not sure if this stuff's just, it's made to evolve. Like, I don't think this stuff naturally happens, honestly, with everything that I've learned and all the research that I've done and the lab leaks and all of the lab chatter. There's a lot of stuff that I can't report on here. You'd have to go to another platform to deep dive, but I know that something's not right in that department. I mean, look at this. The last one supposedly came from a China lab, right? This one right here says, amid reports of HMPV outbreaks in China, doctors warn of 11 diseases that could trigger pandemic 2.0 like COVID. So look, something coming down the pipe, most likely. What we thought would never happen before happened 4 years ago. Is it going to happen again? Very likely. Are they going to get better at whatever they're doing? Most likely. So anyway, this was chalked up to some egg stuff and some stuff that could be coming down the pipe as far as sickness. Again, gonna stay on this one. Gonna keep both eyes wide open. Make sure that notification bell is still on so you guys can stay up to date. As I got more coming down the pipe, I'll keep you guys posted. If you missed this one right up here, check that out. Keep prepping, keep learning, keep doing. We'll see you on the next one.